Good morning. It is 6:37 in the morning and it's early, but I'm up and I am going to go harvest the garlic. So we planted this garlic back in October. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So a good 8 months ago, and it is ready to come out. I got some soft neck, I got some hard neck, but we're going to get it all out. And you just got to do what you got to do when you have the time. And right now I have the time. So let's go into the garden. So I just picked the soft neck garlic. I still have hard neck garlic in the garden, but you can see we don't have very big bulbs here. It happens to everybody at some point, right? Not every year is a success. Let's go pick the hard neck and see if it's any different. Okay, so this is just half of it. Still have half left out there, and I will say that generally these do look a little bit bigger, but still not as big as I thought they would get. So, but all in all, it's still a great harvest. It's still usable, and it will still feed our families and make really good meals. And you may be wondering why I have these metal fencing. It's not really because of deer or animals, because or bunnies or anything like that, because we have a fence around our backyard. We're in our backyard today. But I have a dog, Marley, and Marley will get into the garden and tear it up. So it's not even completely around the garden, but it's enough to kind of keep him away. So that's why the fencing is there. So the trick with your garlic to really harden it, or as they say, cure it and make sure it lasts a long time, is to truly dry it out in the sun. Now, if we had any threat of rain coming, I would absolutely put these under cover, either bring them in or put them on our front porch, which is covered. You could put them under a deck, just somewhere where they're not going to be exposed to the moisture. But because it's going to be hot, it's going to be dry for quite a few days. I'm just going to leave them here on our little deck near the garden and let them cure this way. You don't want to have them bunched up too much like this. You really want to help spread them out because there's a lot of moisture in the leaves, right? And you don't want that moisture to get trapped and create mold. So I'll come out here every day and just kind of move these around, maybe flip them. Just again, allow those moisture pockets to be released and let everything fully dry out. Now I do want to separate my soft neck from my hard neck. This pile is just hard neck, so I'm going to do my soft neck somewhere else. So I went back outside and I brought in all of the soft and hard neck cloves that were kind of tiny, because I don't really need them to cure if they're that small, and I'm just gonna maybe freeze dry them and do something else with them. But I wanted to show you how you know when your garlic is ready to harvest. Now, I planted, like I said, in October. I'm in zone 7B, North Carolina. It's really important to know what zone you're in. And you can just Google, your gardening zone, put in your zip code, and it will be able to tell you. And that's really the starting place for understanding when to plant something, when to harvest, when to start seeds, and then when to plant the transplants into the ground, or when to even direct seed into the ground. And so for garlic, I believe in just about everywhere in the country, I could be wrong, but I believe everywhere in the country you plant the clove in the fall, and then you harvest it in the spring or summer. So for me in zone 7B, again, we plant in either September, October, and we harvest mid to end June, maybe early July, depending upon the season. But this is how you know you're ready to harvest. When you're looking at your garlic stalk, the bottom 2 to 3 leaves, sometimes people even say like the bottom half, this one's even more than half, right? They start to turn brown. So onions usually fall over. The garlic doesn't actually fall over, but it does start to kind of brown. And so when you start seeing at least a third of the leaves kind of browning, wilting, and maybe even up to a half of the leaves, right? Like this one, that's when you know your garlic is ready to harvest. So I am going to, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I'm going to basically chop all the roots off and then chop a majority of the stem. Some of this is going to have really good garlic flavor. I just want to kind of get a lot of the leaves off, the roots off. I'm going to clean them up as much as I can. And I'm going to put them in my food processor to like mince it, kind of mince the garlic. And then we're going to actually freeze dry this. So we've had our Harvest Right freeze dryer now for 3 or 4 months. I really do enjoy it. I'm excited with all of the different things I'm able to do with it, like this for instance, and then I'll have that kind of minced, dehydrated or freeze-dried garlic just to throw in anything I'm cooking. Now, if you don't have a freeze dryer, that's okay, because for years I did this exact same thing with my Excalibur dehydrator, which we have over here in the kitchen as well. So you can do this with a dehydrator and it will work just as well. The freeze dryer benefit is that it removes all moisture, right? And it can last a very long time with the proper storage solutions. But if you're just looking to have your dehydrated garlic last, you know what, maybe 9, 12 months max, as long as again, it's kept within a very dry environment, it will be fine too. So I'm just going to show you one example of what I'm going to do, and then I'll take the time to do the rest. But I'm going to cut the roots off. And because we just harvested this, we don't have a whole lot of, paper. I'll probably have to take that first layer off with the dirt and everything. But we're not going to have all of the paper. And you can see the cloves. Do you see the cloves? Yeah. Do you see the cloves, how they're forming? So I'll just take that first layer off to make sure I got all of the dirt. Actually, it might be like the first 2 or 3 layers here. Oh, there's a clove. But it won't be papery like you're used to with garlic because it hasn't actually cured. But here are some cloves. Here's the hard neck. So a hard neck garlic just basically means that it has this basically a hard neck in between where all the cloves are wrapping around. And then here's a soft neck. Let me see if I can show you the difference. Actually, I can see these little minuscule cloves, so I'm just going to pull those out. But there's no hard neck here. This is all really soft. So that's why it's called hard neck versus soft neck. All right, so I'm going to get all of this garlic out, and then we'll come back when it's ready to go into the food processor. So our garlic is fully freeze dried, made about a pint, which is funny because, you know, if you saw me when I was taking it out and of the tray and putting it in the jar, the garlic expanded right in the freeze dryer because there certainly wasn't this much garlic when it was raw and minced, right? It certainly expanded. But I'm just gonna keep it in this jar. It smells so good. And then in our spice cabinet, because I will use this most likely over the next 6 months. I'm not gonna put this in any long-term Mylar bag storage. And you also saw, I mean, I was gonna run the freeze dryer, right? So I might as well fill the trays up. It didn't make sense to have one tray of garlic. So I got some fresh parsley from the garden that I freeze dried, some chopped chives, and then the last thing you saw me get was feverfew. We're growing feverfew in the backyard. I'm trying to do a lot more with our own medicinal herbs this year. So I freeze dried some feverfew as well. So the freeze drying aspect, a success, done. I'm glad I got those little cloves taken care of and they didn't go to waste. So the rest of the garlic is still outside, right? We harvested it yesterday. It's still out there drying. I already went out this morning and kind of flipped things around, moved things around on both the hard neck and the soft neck just to make sure we are getting good airflow. Now remember, we are curing for about 3 to 4 weeks. You are looking for your garlic to be totally dry and papery. And how you can tell is when you cut the stem off, you see how there's still green there? You see that? This isn't fully dry. So when you cut the stem, if you still see green, it is not yet cured. Put it back outside. And it's important to really try to make sure that it is not exposed to any moisture, i.e. rain. I have them out on the back deck right now, totally out in the open. It may rain this weekend. I'm gonna be very vigilant in checking the weather. If it starts to rain or if I feel like it's going to, I'm gonna be moving them to our front porch. We have a front porch that's covered and I have just like a little bench out there that I can dry everything on. So some sort of covered, you know, carport, maybe a garage, but it has to have ventilation. So a door has to be open. You can even air dry them and cure them in your house. That is okay too. You just need to make sure there's air ventilation and it's dry. So we're gonna come back. This is part 1 of our garlic video. We're gonna come back when mine are all dry and I'm gonna show you how to braid your soft neck garlic and then how to store your garlic and what you'll do with your hard neck. So the hard neck, remember, it's gonna have this hard neck with all of the cloves growing around it. The hard neck garlic is not really easily braidable, but the benefit is that you get that garlic scape. And remember, you can click above, we made our garlic scape butter and fermented garlic scapes with all of that. But the soft neck garlic is what you can use to braid. And that's what I'll be doing. And I'll be showing you in part 2 video in just a couple of weeks once all of my garlic is dried. And I'll show you what to look for and how to know that it is ready to go. All right. In the meantime, go harvest your garlic and let it cure and dry. And if you have any bulbs that are just small and it's not really worth letting it cure, then go ahead and get everything peeled apart and throw it in a dehydrator, a freeze dryer if you have it, or just chop it up and put it in the fridge, or keep the cloves clean in a jar in your fridge and you should use them over the next week or 2. Stay healthy, stay well. I will see you next time. Thanks.